Welcome to the fourth episode of MIM Matters podcast, where I am your host, Rebecca Bridgen, taking a moment to explore marketing concepts with some of Maritime's finest marketeers, even. What if AI made your team faster, but your brand less believable? Today, we figure out how to get the speed without losing the trust, and we're unpacking the good, the bad, and the ugly of generative AI in maritime marketing and how to automate without losing that human element. So we'll be doing this with our guest today, Andrew Davis, who is a keynote speaker and AI workshop trainer, founder of Talk Digital, podcast host of In AI Nutshell, and a long-time trainer and specialist of generative AI. It's easy for me to say. And today he will be sharing some practical insights which most marketers are currently exploring, and this session will be very useful for them. So Andrew, great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
So for those starting out, can you explain what generative AI is and actually how it's actually changed marketing in the last 12 to 18 months?
Yeah, I think when you look at what generative AI is, if you want the best answer, go to ChatGPT, type in, explain what generative AI is to a 10-year-old, and it will give you the perfect answer.
Yeah.
But in a nutshell, what really it is, it's the computers being able to look at multiple billions of things on the internet, and from there coming up with ideas, suggestions, content, and ways it can help you generate some form of answer. And that answer could be a film, that answer could be a database, that answer could be to a question. And it really is, I'm someone that just tries to keep things simple, and it really is as simple as that.
I'm a big fan of keeping things simple, you know, the KISS method. But I'm like a massive fan. So from your work with Talk Digital, what's the single biggest misconception teams have when they start using AI?
I think, well, one of them is they treat ChatGPT or any large language model like it's Google. So they'll go into it and they'll just like, it's just another search engine, really. And I think that's something that needs to be addressed, which we can address throughout this episode. Another misconception is that AI is going to take our jobs like immediately, like in the next few months, all of our jobs are going to go. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Now, there is a saying where it says AI won't take your jobs. People who use AI will take your jobs. Yes. And I think that's likely to happen before robots taking over, etc. But I think that's two misconceptions. The other thing as well is don't be scared of it. I often say that right now you've got amazing technology and most people are not using it. So what I mean by that is you've got weapons, which is 2030, and most people has got weapons from 2010. So you've got a good head start. You've got lasers and they've got like catapults. That's essentially what's happening. So take advantage of the lasers while you can, because everyone else is soon going to upgrade.
I just find it really exciting. It's just, I can't even fathom how quickly it's exploded and the opportunities that it brings with you. Suddenly you can be, you know, do something that you've always wanted to do, but you've never really had the skills to do it. And it's just opened up that environment to so many more people to have fun and be creative, in my opinion, anyway.
No, completely agree. Yeah, completely agree. To me, generative AI is like the internet. It's not like search or social media, which are just channels. This is like the internet, because you can use it across everything. And this is what people are doing. So because of that, it's like, where do you even start? And that's why it's really important to kind of start to play around with things as soon as possible and kind of work out how you use this for your job.
Yeah. We did an episode recently with Mark Warner about sales enablement. So I wanted to ask you a question about the best ways that Gen AI can shorten the gap between marketing and sales, scripts, object handling notes, that sort of thing. What would you say to that?
I think when it comes to AI, it's definitely to bridge the gap between marketing and sales. It's important to understand that I would say when it comes to how you go about using AI, there's probably 8 buckets that everything you do falls into. So if you go back to your last 20 prompts, whatever machine you're using, it will probably fall into one of these 8 things. And these 8 things will help connect sales and marketing. So you're either using it to generate content, you're doing it for idea generation, you're doing it to summarize, you're doing it to analyze, you're doing it for optimization. You can do it to ask questions. You can do it to educate and research yourself and reformatting. I would say they're the 8 things that 95%, and that's just me being cautious, but I actually probably think is a bit more, that what you do is for. So for example, if you talk about sales and they want to learn about presentations, that's essentially generating content. If you're marketing and you want to take the data and explain what that means, that's analyzing. So what you're going to find is that if you understand that everything you're doing is pretty much in one of these 8 things, then it's a case of saying, all right, when it comes to analyzing, how does this work from a marketer's point of view? How does this work from a sales point of view? And more importantly, how can we bridge the gap? Because that typical sales funnel that we're so used to, with awareness at the top and conversion at the bottom, that's because of the way the world works now. I actually think the middle bit's more important, because the middle bit ultimately builds trust. Because if you can build trust, people will buy. Nobody's buying from someone that they don't trust. And this is where it's important to understand that sales need to understand marketing, and marketing needs to understand sales. And I don't think it's just awareness content and conversion content. And AI can do both of them very well. But also the trust bit, this is where we can add the human side. And that's something I'm quite big when it comes to this, humanizing AI as well. So AI kind of fits across the whole funnel, but understanding that sales, marketing, you kind of go hand in hand now.
Yeah, I mean, I think what a lot of people have got to realize is that the humans are the puppet masters, and we're still pulling the strings.
For now. For now. Yeah.
So, I mean, there's one thing that's I think people are realizing, especially those people using AI at the moment, is that AI likes to placate you and oh yes, of course you're right, and yes.
Yeah. Oh.
So with regards to metrics, AI it can inflate those slightly. What are the leading indicators that you prefer instead for metrics?
I'm a big fan of looking at traditional business, marketing, sales, and just put an AI lens over it. So if you're still going to be judged by your same metrics. So I don't think there's any new metrics because of AI, apart from maybe time. Yeah. And quantity and quality. That is kind of that. So it's like, all right, well, usually we do X amount of calls in 5 hours, and now because of AI, we might be able to do more. That's something that you might look at, or what you could look at for the same 5 hours, do the same amount of calls, but actually make it better. So it's that quantity versus quality metric. But apart from that, your marketing, if you're using social, it will still be the vanity metrics, i.e. growth. It will still be the engagement metrics that will play a part, how much people engage with a piece of content. It will still be conversion metrics, and same as sales. It will still be the same, but just have that AI lens across it.
Yeah. I love that. And one of the things that we were talking about yesterday in our sort of prep exploration was what must be kept out of public models in terms of data governance. And it's just a sort of a quick overview, because like you said yesterday, it's probably common sense, but actually it does need to be addressed as well.
Yeah, so this is a preference for each individual company. So there's no one size fits all here. So some companies, some people are happy to just put anything in there. Some people are not, so they're a bit wary. I've seen, when I've done a lot of training, a lot of brands will create their policies around it, but also some of them will have their internal, or they'll build their internal large language model. Because when we break down AI, a lot of people just think large language models like ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude, but actually there's so many different other ones in different areas, which we can get into later on. But mainly, if you're talking about the large language models, it's understanding that when you put in content, no, let me go back a bit. How these models are trained is based off of what we put on the internet, pretty much, or in digital. So right now, they've probably gone through the internet multiple times, and they've got as many things that they can get legally and illegally, by the way. The next stage is they want to be able to access your emails and stuff. So that's why you're seeing ChatGPT can now connect with Outlook, or ChatGPT can connect with Claude. From a user point of view, convenience, amazing. From their point of view, more information. Now, the data is not going to be, oh, I now know what you do. Let me type in what what Rebecca's been doing yesterday, and now I can find out the information. It's not going to be like that.
Yeah.
But what it is doing is that it's learning. Now you're seeing the browser wars. So a couple of days ago, OpenAI just created a browser, which basically means more data. More data means more the machine can train. The next part is this. There's actually two more parts. What's happening is that with all of this data, it's learning all of this information. But then, just like how we would do, we'll take information from somebody and then we'll put it in our own words, or we'll see it through our lens. That's what the machines are doing. And it's looking at data and it's saying, okay, I'm learning. This is what the information that I've got, the primary source. Now let's kind of create our own learning situations, our own learning simulations as well. So that's one thing that it's doing as well. The other thing, and this is where it's such a great area. If you read a book, let's say you read, what's a business book that you like?
Oh, now you're asking me.
Sorry, I put you on the spot.
Fallen asleep. I'm going to be honest. One of them actually was, for me, which is quite pivotal, was how to turn a negative into a positive for customer service. I found that really interesting.
So what will happen? The machine will read that book. Oh, sorry, you will read that book, and then you will say, you'd be telling me about it or someone, and you're not going to get sued for that, because you paid for the book, you've read it, and then you're just kind of putting it through your lens and explaining it to someone. That's how the machines learn. So if the machines is learning from that book and reading it, and then it's saying, this is my interpretation of it, can they get sued for that?
Yeah.
And that's the gray area, because it's learning how we learn. It's just taking this information. It's not saying it verbatim. It's just saying this is what it is roughly. That's why summarizing is a big part. So that's another area. So I don't know if I've kind of gone away from the original question, but this is really important to understand how these machines work in the most layman terms. I'm breaking it in the most layman terms. So because of that, when it comes to our privacy, it always goes back to a choice. Do you feel comfortable putting it out there? Do you feel comfortable putting some things out there? This is where policies are important. But then also, if you don't, you can create your own large language model, an internal one, based off of your data, based off of your confidential information as well.
And I think there's a lot of there's not a lot of companies, but there's some very forward thinking companies are recognizing this, and they are writing their own AI policies, just like they're writing their own social media policies. And that in itself is it's still quite a new thing for a lot of companies. Yet, it's social media's been around for a while now, and their teammates have been on there for a while, but it's a bit slow to grow. But actually, people are starting to write those policies now for that very reason, I think.
Yeah, I think it's important. I remember going through the whole social media policy stage, and there's a reason why we have to put them together, and it will be a constantly evolving document as well. While AI changes, and it changes all of the time. Since we last spoke yesterday, there's been changes, and that's the same with the policy. It's really important, whoever's in charge of that for your organization, to keep up to date with things, because things are changing fast. And before it was, what would hurt you today? What would work today could destroy you tomorrow. Now it's what could hurt you today could destroy you today. Things are moving at such a rapid rate.
Gosh. And you might even see in IT departments that they will have AI specialists, and that will be a job role. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely a job role. There's going to be AI specialists, not just from the technical point of view, but also from a marketing, communication, sales point of view, or a BD point of view as well. And you're going to have, where you've got CEO and COO, you're going to have a CAIO. Don't know, too many
too many acronyms,
vowels. Yeah, too many vowels in that one. But I'm sure they'll probably come up with a short name. But there will be someone who does that, just because of it's so important now. You've got chief digital officers, and maybe you might have split digital and AI, even though it's kind of connected in the same area. But it might be just because AI covers so many things.
Yeah, it's just fascinating, isn't it? Do you think that marketing should label AI assisted content?
This is an ethical question now.
Mm.
Here's the issue that I can see happening when it comes to, all right, let's say for example, we go on a site like Midjourney, or Nano Banana, or any of these image generators. We generate something, and our prompt is ultra realistic with this particular camera, with this particular lens, and blah blah blah. Looks very realistic. Put it up. We should label it. Now, if I took a picture of myself here, so I grabbed my phone, took a picture of myself, and then I was like, actually, I want to change some of the looks and feel. I don't want to wear this white top. I actually want to
get
wear
rid of my wrinkles.
Yeah, get rid of my wrinkles. Get rid of the grey hair. In fact, make my hair into dreadlocks and put me on the beach with a swap this cup of tea for a cocktail, and there's a dog next to me. So all of a sudden, it's from a real picture, but I don't use so much AI. It's not the same.
Yeah.
So then it goes down to, well, do I then have to label that as AI? Yeah. Or is it a case where I say, perfect picture, just get rid of my little wrinkles here?
Yeah.
Do I then have to label that as AI? Because then every single picture on the internet will be AI. Because in fact, you can turn around to say, because it's been compressed, that's used AI to compress it. So where's the line? So that's what I always think when it comes to that, because you might take an ultra realistic picture, or it might be a picture of me that I've uploaded and it's just created a picture of that. Yeah. So it's that's the problem. Like, do I think? Yeah, possibly, but it's, well, where does it stop? Where do we stop? So it's not as straightforward as if this is created by AI and this one isn't, because
because it's like it's a hybrid almost, isn't it? Which actually brings us back round beautifully to the whole human aspect of marketing. And actually, it's all very well creating these images, and then you can, create something fantastical that's completely not real. But actually, where must a human have the final word in marketing? Where, like, how do you keep the messy parts? Because we humans are not tidy, right? We're chaotic, and that's how, and ultimately that's how we relate to one another. That the imperfect in itself is perfect. So how do you keep the messy human parts, the anecdotes, the failure stories front and center when AI wants to tidy up everything and make it, slick?
A lot of it, ultimately, a lot of what we're going to do is going to go down to the organization, the brand who's in charge, like how they feel comfortable. Because of reality TV, the guy next door, the girl next door is becoming popular, and social media kind of added to that layer. So it really started with reality TV, where we didn't necessarily want to see the big movie stars. We still do, but there's a place for everyone else, and that imperfection. And then social media came about, made that even more, and now it's even more. AI can make things perfect, or it can make things that kind of messy as well. I'm a big fan of letting AI help optimize things, but the original creation would always be from the human side of things.
Yeah.
So, for example, if, let's say we're doing this podcast, AI might take out the ums and the ahs, but things like that, where I had to get the curtains and stuff like that, we'll just keep in, because that's stuff that it's just a natural. That's just a natural thing, where you could easily get AI to just take everything out that's not speaking. So, or it's not, you're here, I'm here. So I think what you're going to find as a brand is, it goes down to your brand personality, which is one of the most important things, fundamental things. If you work for a big brand, or if you work for a small brand, it doesn't matter the size. What's your personality? And when I do training sessions, this is one of the things I've been doing for years. What is your personality? If you could get anybody, dead or alive, to take over your brand, who would it be and why? Because that's what your personality is. The beauty now of ChatGPT and all the large language models is I can take that. Let's say, for example, I come up with a name, and let's say if it was Rebecca Bridgen, that's the Bridgen, that's the person I want. Then I can then put in all of your attributes into ChatGPT and say, right, now I want you to create content like this.
Yeah.
I'm also still the executive producer. So I still have final say. So it's not like it's going to, well, you can schedule it to go out, but in most cases you'll get it, you'll still want to overlook it, and if it's too polished, you might turn around and say, actually, let's make it a bit more. And that's when you can add your human touch to it as well. So that's again, it's just more of a preference, what you decide, what you think is for your brand is best, and that's basically down to personality.
And fundamentally, I mean, I think that's a lot of people who are using AI for copywriting, you can't just do an AI copywritten piece without any edits or any huge. So the copywriters are now becoming copy editors now. They've been promoted almost. They still need them, but we need them in a slightly different capacity with that human creative brain to overlook it and sometimes rough it up a little bit if it is a bit too clean, or give that instruction or whatever.
Exactly.
So this is a good question, and I think actually a lot of marketing people, I would be interested to hear this. If you had 12 weeks to prove value with AI in a maritime marketing team, what would be your sprint plan?
My sprint plan, it would be to, first off, I would look at their business objectives. So what are you trying to achieve? Is it to raise awareness? Is it to increase profit or turnover? Is it to build communities? Is it to influence the conversation? Whatever that is. And then from there, everything works out, because digital is a game. But how you go about digital or your objectives are the rules of the game. So how you go about it separate, different. So let's say, for example, my objective was to increase awareness. Then this whole content is king that some people might have heard, you need great content, blah, 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 becomes secondary, because awareness is not about who creates the best content. It's about who can promote the best. So what I would be doing is I will create content and I'll have a schedule, and I'll make sure that standardly it's good. And with AI, you can make content good. I would be really focusing on promotion. So how are we going to master the social media algorithms? Let's say I went to LinkedIn. How are we going to master the LinkedIn algorithms? But more importantly, how are we going to master the LinkedIn conversations? Because LinkedIn right now, the algorithm's all over the place. But the DMs, as the kids say, sliding in the DMs, that's where the money is made. That's where you're going to get the leads. How good are you at your conversations DMing? And that's a skill set. So that's what I will be focused. That's one massive area I'll be focusing on. I'll still be obviously getting the content out there. I'll still be trying to get the likes, the engagement, just to see what content works, what doesn't. I will be posting every single day, depending on if it's a personal account or a private business account. It might be twice a day, because I want data. If I've got 12 weeks, I want to get data as fast as possible. I will have lead magnets. So what am I going to get? Yeah, you know what lead magnets are.
Yeah.
I'll make sure my email game is tight. It'll be segmented email. It will be tags. It will be going out here. It won't be too many emails, but I'll have a lot of information on and a lot of analytics on where people clicked. I'll have a dashboard there that will tell me this email's performed this, or this person's interested here. I'll do all of that. That'll be fundamental. And then I'll just rinse and repeat. You don't necessarily have to have, in 12 weeks, 100 different things. You just need to do a few things really well. And it all goes down to objective. If it's to increase awareness, then reach and getting your message out to as many people, getting on podcasts, have a distribution plan. I actually think that, so I didn't say much about my background or how I got here, but I've worked in digital since 2001 full time. Started off working for the TV show Pop Idol, then I worked for Liverpool Football Club, worked for the website Friends Reunited. Then I went to the BBC.
Wow.
I remember Friends Reunited.
I remember it. God, that's taking me back.
Then I went to the BBC and I was part of the team to launch Radio 1 Extra, and I was working in BBC Radio for almost 5 years. When I left there, I was part of the team to launch MySpace back in 2006. So this is in the UK, where Facebook was only available to students. Within a year and a half I was there, we went from about 20 million to 250 million. And at the time, it became the biggest website in the world, bigger than Google. Remember the MySpace days? Yeah, it was there. So I know what works, but I also know what doesn't work, because we saw the losing 250 million. But the reason I'm telling you this is one of the biggest differences I learned from going from the BBC to MySpace was when I was at the BBC, I could create a radio show and it goes on 1Extra, or it goes on Radio 1, or it goes on Radio 2, and it could have hundreds of thousands of listeners. I just focused on the content. When I went to MySpace, I could take the exact same radio show. Nothing's changed. The exact same radio show. Put it on my MySpace profile. And at the time, MySpace was at least 20 times bigger than Radio 1 and Radio 2.
Wow.
And get 2 views. So then I realized this whole content is king is a myth. Not in this digital world that we live in, which is full of algorithms. It's who can promote the best. That's really what is key. So for me, if I've got 12 weeks, I'm not going to be spending 7-8 weeks getting my content right. I'm going to be spending most of my time getting distribution right and trust. Going back to trust, what I was saying.
Yeah.
And that's because it's easier to improve content, especially with AI, than it is to master distribution. Like, it's a really hard thing to master the promotion. But once you kind of built a list, or you understand how the algorithms work, you're going to do very well. It's a lot. I would rather be great at distribution and good content than have okay distribution and amazing content, because it's easier to get my content from good to amazing than my distribution from good to amazing.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because that's something that we've learned in Innovate Social as well, that actually you can, the only way that you can be valuable is if you're visible. So it's all about that strategic where you're placing yourself and being able to get that visibility. But that's amazing what you're saying about MySpace, because you're suddenly in this like huge space where actually everybody's shouting for attention, and it's how you get it. And it's tricky, isn't it? It's hard work.
And nothing's changed in the 20 years. So it started 2006. It's almost 2026. Nothing's changed. It's still everyone fighting for attention.
Yeah.
And the old methods of there only 1 or 2 or 3 big distribution partners, and you couldn't really be popular without them. They've changed now. You don't need Radio 1 to have a hit song. You don't need to be on TV to be famous. It completely changed. And that's why I say to people, and a lot of my training is about distribution. It's not necessarily about creating content, because you can, with AI now, it's even easier to create. It's even easier to create great content. But then the next question is, what is great content? There's a lot of people say, create great content, create engaging content. But content is subjective. Right now, you might not like Fortnite, but I'm sure there's people that very well that love Fortnite. So you might think, it's boring, it's rubbish. But there's people that love Fortnite. So it really is, it goes down to content is an opinion. But promoting it, getting in front of people, that's not. You either see it or you don't. So that's why I say distribution is important. But then master conversion. It's all well and good having people seeing your content and then just scrolling past. It's what can I do with it? And that's why I always say, again, with my training, create content, how to promote that content, how to convert people. And that is pretty much, I've been doing that type of training since 2010. And still to this day, it's my most popular thing, because it's still what people need to master. Yeah.
I don't think it's going to change. And I definitely think the PR companies who might be listening along will be like,
definitely, because PR sits right in the distribution.
It does,
Yeah.
We mentioned at the beginning that actually it's still very new, and like you were saying, there's people who still aren't embracing it. In fact, actually, most people still aren't really. How do you move skeptical stakeholders from a no way, going to use that to show me, or we rely on this even mindset?
Some people are always going to be skeptical. Now, my concern with those people is that AI is not going anywhere. This is not Snapchat, where it's like, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. AI is not going anywhere. So what you don't want to do is play catch up. And this is what I often say, especially when I'm with very senior people. And it's the same circle. Like I've been since 2001, I see the same patterns over and over again. And this is just another pattern I'm seeing.
Yeah.
It's the same circle. Playing catch up is a very costly and timely exercise. You don't want to be in a situation where 2027, you'll be looking back thinking, I wish I started AI in 2024 or 2025. Just like the amount of people that I know spend money, a lot of money on Google ads and think, if only I started this in 2002 or 2004. Or people that's on social media on Facebook say, I wish I started this in 2009. Or on Instagram, I wish I started this in 2016. You don't want to be doing that.
Or I wish I invested my money in that the chip we were talking about for AI like 10 years ago.
Why didn't I invest in Ndivia or any of those? Yeah, you get people like that. You don't want to do that. And the thing where it's more dangerous when it comes to AI is that, let's say you start in 2027 and everyone's got 2 years head start on you. They're just going to expand far quicker, because with AI, because a lot of it is about speed, people will be able to move faster than people that are just sitting around learning, trying this, trying that. So it's not going to be like you kind of plateau. You're still going to be at a trajectory, but faster than the people that's learning here. And I often say that to people when I say, look, at the end of the day, you don't have to believe me, but just be aware that this is likely to happen. And then sometimes I'll just go on and show them how to do certain things. And they say, you know what, we need to be aware of this. But I actually don't think when it comes to AI, it's not as bad as what I've seen in other areas. Because I think most people realize that AI is going to be there. It becomes more of about privacy, data challenges, what it's going to do to the environment. It's more of those things than I don't know if this is going to catch on. I'm a bit skeptical.
I mean, I think it's obvious it's catching on, really. It's like it's spreading like at an unprecedented rate. But also what you were saying is that sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and actually you need to be shown. And people go, oh my God, I didn't even realize that we could do that. And I guess a lot of these different AI companies or these softwares that are now adopting AI, that's what they're shouting about now, is to show you the capabilities and the functionalities of what their software is doing with AI. And which is why you've got a lot of demos on the rise, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. Loads of demos. Yeah, you see it all the time. People contact me all the time on LinkedIn. Can I demo this? Can I demo that? But yes, there's so many tools out there, and it's just going to be more and more and more and more and more. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to quickly ask you a question about because you do a daily podcast, don't you? So I wanted to ask about the cadence. How does a 10-minute a day cadence podcast, like a podcast versus one-off workshops, say, what's the value? How does it work positively? I don't know if I've articulated that particular question well.
So my podcast, which is In AI Nutshell, so
check it out.
It's daily. Yeah, check it out. Definitely go to Spotify, go to Apple, all the good places. It's 10 minutes. Now, I always wanted to do a 10-minute podcast, even back in the day with social media, but I don't know. I just didn't do it. And then when AI came along, I said, you know what? I'm going to do this 10-minute a day podcast. Now, the reason why I do it 10 minutes a day, or the primary reason, is because it focuses on one particular subject. And because AI is changing all of the time, it focuses on one area. So the reason I've done this as well is that as a listener, you might go for it and say, okay, on Monday, Andrew's talking about things that annoys him about AI. I might not check that one out, but on Tuesday, he's talking about 3 cool tools I should check out. I'm going to look at that one. On Wednesday, he's just focusing on optimization. Actually, I would like to go into that one. Thursday, he's talking about the news, what's been going on for the week. Now I'll skip that one. Yeah. So it gives users one focus. In fact, how I start the podcast is I say, welcome to the In a Nutshell podcast. This is the daily 10-minute podcast where I take out all of the techie talk about generative AI and focus on one particular subject. That pretty much is what it's about. I've only got 10 minutes. I can only focus on one thing. And I'm finding that this bite-sized learning really helps. The feedback I get from people is like, this is really helpful because I didn't know about AI agents before. And now you've simplified it. I get it. And it's not... Where a long podcast, I could talk about AI agents, but then I could talk about something else and here. Like even with this podcast, we've talked about multiple things where on my one, it's just one subject. Yeah. As soon as it goes into something else, I'll bring it back and then I'll just say, I'll talk about that another day. I've only got 10 minutes anyway. So that's that bite-sized learning that people are taking away from it. And that's, I've done it over 500 episodes. It's been over 2 years. The only time that I miss a day is Christmas. I take Christmas off. I take Easter, like Good Friday and Bank Holiday Monday off. And then the rest of the time, I think twice I've missed days, and it wasn't because I missed the recording. I actually recorded it. I forgot to schedule it. So that's the only times where I've actually.
I mean, we're human beings. It's
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
happen. You
So I
know,
was like, oh, I didn't schedule that one. Yeah. So that's the only times I've ever it's ever not gone out. So yeah, I'll try and be very consistent with that. And yeah, it's just been going from strength to strength. It's got a nice little community there. Yeah. So yeah, very happy with that.
That's brilliant. And that's the thing is time, not, you know, most people don't have time to sit and listen to a wonderful marketing and maritime podcast like this and, you know, take it in. But actually, you know, 10-minute nugget in the morning whilst you're having your coffee and you've got that on, and it sort of, you know, can make you think about it, but you don't want to tune in. You might not want to tune into everyone, but you've got that option. Quick personal question. So do you do all of that in bulk, and then you do your editing and then you schedule it, or how do you approach it? And where do you find the ideas? How do you do your planning? I know a lot of people probably would think about that too.
So sometimes I do in bulk. So how it works is, because my background is radio. So when I worked in radio, I would have, especially at the beginning, I would do daytime radio, so the drive time. And you have 3 hours every single day live. So you need to fill it in. And yes, we could play music, but what are you going to be talking about? So because of that years and years and years of learning there, it was kind of drilled into me how to schedule. So what I would do is I'll plan the month and I'll say, right, on Tuesdays, all I'm going to talk about are tools. So it's going to be 3 tools. I call it Cool Tools Tuesday. So it's only 3 tools. And finding new tools is easy. Or I talk about tools or features of, say, ChatGPT has got a new feature or something like that. Fridays is always the news.
Yeah.
Because I do a lot of training, I do every other week frequently asked questions. Now, I could do frequently asked questions every week if I wanted to, but I want to split that with another one called prompt hacks. So where I give you free prompts that you can use. So that's always on a Wednesday. So it's either frequently asked questions or prompt hacks on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the month, I start off the first episode, say it's whatever the first Monday is of that month. I will have what I'm looking forward to in November, or what I'm looking forward to in November. The end of the month, I say what tools I use the most. So it's not my favorite tools, or what tools I just happen to use the most that month. Then I've got other episodes like marketing examples. So I might look at what's happening in maritime or whatever industry that's used AI, and I'll kind of break it down. What was the background? What actions did they take? What results did they get? And what lessons can the marketers, content creators, and the everyday person, because that's the audience, what they can learn. Then I'll have ones that might be about my pet peeves. So I'll do that every 3 weeks. Or I do my top 5 things about AI that are myths, or that's annoyed me, or that I thought, wow. So when I start really structuring it, actually there's probably in a month about 6 or 7 days where it's just something I need to just kind of think about. What shall I come up with? So today's episode, because of ChatGPT released their browser, I done one about the browser wars. So that came out today. So that was just like a one-off, these one-off things. But I've never struggled thinking, what should I talk about today?
Yeah.
I try to record in bulk. So I might, let's say on a Saturday, record 4 of them in a row.
Yeah.
But I sometimes might record 2, and then sometimes it's on the fly. But the reason I do it in bulk, yes, it's time saving, but sometimes during the week it's quite difficult to record. I've got a 3-year-old, and you know, it's just trying to find time to. And also because where I live in Spain, I'm kind of by like the like, I don't say the countryside, but there's a lot of crickets, there's a lot of like noise, and I don't have a studio, so gets picked up on the mic, and I can't record too early in the morning because everyone's sleeping. I can't record too late at night because everyone's sleeping. So it's finding that time on a Friday where I can shut all the windows and do it there. So that's sometimes.
I thought you were going to brag there and say, you know, because I live in Spain, you know, actually some of the weekend I've got to sunbathe and just have a swim in the sea.
Go to my swimming pool and just relax, drink sangria and paella.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much how I do it. So the only day, actually, tell a lie, Fridays, say that's the day, because it's news, I record that on the Friday. So I'll record that early in the morning, get the latest news, and then I'll edit it and put it out at 11 o'clock every day. It goes out. Every weekday it goes out.
That's brilliant. Well, we'll make sure that we check into that. I mean, I will be anyway. But do you mix that up with lots of? I know we're talking about AI, but obviously we've got a marketing audience. I'm sure they might want to ask these questions. Do you mix that up with lots of different formats of content as well?
So it's predominantly about AI, but I will go into different areas. So there's a few things that I do. So I've got that. The other thing I've got is a WhatsApp group. So I say it's a group, but it's more of a broadcast list where every day I will post 3 or 4 pieces of news. Because a lot of people from training say, how do I stay up to date with things? And that's why I created this. So it's rather than go to 50 different newsletters or trying to see what's going on social media to find out, people just sign up to my WhatsApp broadcast list, and then I just post them 3 or 4 pieces of news. The other thing that I've started to do, so I've done this twice now, is I do I call it fortnightly fix. So it's still part of it in a nutshell. In fact, they're all 3 part of it in a nutshell brand, but it's fortnightly fix. And these are just hour-long training sessions. There's no sales pitch, there's no 10 minutes of content and I'm trying to sell you something. There's 0 sales pitch. It's just 60 minutes me training, again, like the in a nutshell, on one particular subject. So last night it was just about certain AI tools, predominantly the image generators and a bit of coding tools. So where the week before is about training your large language models. So I do this every fortnight. So because I'm starting to separate things out, it's actually become a lot easier. So now it's like when I do my long form content, I can put it in the fortnightly fix. When I've got something where I'm like, this is interesting, but it's only 10 minutes. I could talk about this. I could put this in my podcast. But if it's just something that's quite bite-sized, I'll just throw it in the news thing. My actual business itself is either lunch and learn. So these are keynote talks, which is about 45 minutes to 60 minutes. And then training sessions, which go from half a day to, it could be 2 days. And this kind of answers the question that you said before, the difference. When I do the workshops, this is why I go into different areas. And let's say if it is AI, I'm still going to talk about content. I'm still going to talk about distribution. I'm still going to talk about engaging. I'm still going to talk about conversion. I'm still going to talk about strategy. I'm still going to talk about metrics, just with, as I said, that AI lens across it. So it's not, you're going to go in here and you're going to become amazing prompt engineers and you're going to master this tool. You can if you want, but I'm not necessarily the best person to go to. I'm like, how am I going to grow my business with AI and be productive? That's what I focus on. So it still goes into what I've been training since 2009, but just with that AI lens across it now.
So for the marketing community, obviously this is going to impact, we've already talked about it in terms of copyright editors and things like that. It's going to change almost a little bit the roles and definitions in marketing moving forward. So which roles and skills will define a modern AI literate marketing team in 2026 if you were writing job descriptions?
I think you're going to have to write a job description where it's someone who can work with the AIs. Because if you don't have AI and your competitors are, they're going to be at a huge advantage to you. Speed alone. So especially if they know how to use it. So that's one of the things I'll be looking for. How well can you manage these machines? Also, how well are you taking offline business and mixing it online? Like that's the other key thing. Like if you're working in, let's say, for example, marketing, understanding the basic principles of marketing, understanding about different areas of digital marketing as well. And how good are you then taking that and applying that to a large language model? Also, being the person to recommend a particular AI and give good reasons for and against, because there's so many tools right now. Even, for example, note takers, there's like 50 note takers. What one? Because your boss just wants to know, what one? All right, cool. We'll use that one. Let's just stick to that one and use it. What large language model? Because what you'll find is that Gemini is 1 week, that's the best one. Then Claude, then ChatGPT, and then DeepSeek out of nowhere comes. And then Grok does an update, and then Gemini is back on top, and then Claude. And then like every week, they're always changing. So that's why I often say, select one and just go with it. Now, a lot of people use Copilot as well. I'm not a massive fan, but whatever one you pick, for what 99% of people want to do, they're all good enough if you know how to train the model. And that's the key thing. If you know how to train the model, then they're all more than good enough. You know, you've got the smartest assistant of all time in your fingertips. So it's just a matter of how well, if I was writing a job description, how well can you do this? How well can you handle this? How quickly can you get stuff done? How good are you at communicating to other people in the team? These are the skills that because when I first started at the BBC, my boss once said to me, who eventually became my boss, they was doing like, this is when they did like fairs all around the country. And then I went to one of them and I met who eventually became my boss. And he said this to me and it always stuck with me. I can teach you how to make a radio show. I can teach you how to interview people. I can teach you structure of how radio shows so you can keep the listener. What I can't teach you is how you can stay motivated, how you finish work at 6, but this project needs to be done and you're going to have to continue doing it. How you can come in energetic and not tired. Like, I can't really teach you that. That's just got to be stuff that's you. So that's, I think, going back to the human side of things, that's what I'll be looking for, especially. What are the things? Because I can teach you AI, and if not, ChatGPT can teach you AI. Like, that's learning it is not that difficult. It's the other stuff. And how AI supports the other stuff. And that's pretty much when I'm doing my training sessions or when I talk about my talks, it's the humanizing thing behind it. And that's what I'm looking for.
I always remember this quote from I think they were rowing the Atlantic or sailing the Atlantic solo. And they had a big poster at the foot of their bed. So when they woke up every morning, they saw it. And it basically said, choose your attitude. Because when you wake up in the morning, you have a choice whether you are going to engage with the world positively or negatively, whether you're going to grumble about something or whether you're just going to get on with it and change anything that you dislike. And it really is down to attitude. So what you're saying there to me is we need a workforce that is basically able to choose their attitude, take control of, you know, their approach to things, because that is the human element. But also the second thing was it's about the art of communication. So for me, when I use AI, it's about being articulate enough to explain exactly what it is and being really clear, which is a skill in itself, because a lot of people don't have that, do they? When they're trying to ask, you know, and it's a management thing as well. Could you do this? And really give a clear, and it's about practicing that too, isn't it?
100%. I've always said AI goes down to 3 things: the prompt, your imagination, and then the tool. Because if you're good at prompting, as you said, articulating what you want, that's great. But your imagination, that's the hardest thing. Because what exactly do you want to prompt? If you're telling me that I can create an app that does everything and solves all of my problems, where do I even start? That's articulate enough to make it a prompt that the machines understand. Yeah. And then once you know that, then it's just the tool. What tool do you use? So they're going to be the key things. And as I said, this is the type of person that's going to have to work in these AI spaces, that's going to do well in these AI spaces.
Yeah. So quickly, before we come to a close for today's podcast, what hot take are you willing to stand by in 2026?
Going back to the fundamentals, I'm always a big fan of the fundamentals, i.e., fundamentals for generative AI. So understanding that it's about prompt, imagination, tools. Also, the fundamentals of digital. Understanding it's about keeping it simple, being being patient, focus, and consistency. Like I'm a massive fan of fundamentals, and fundamentals don't mean the basic, but when times are going to get tough, and they will, when money's going to be tight, and it will, when everything's going to be busy, and it will, you fall back on your fundamentals. And this for me has always been the key for anything that I'm doing. What are the fundamentals? Because that's what I'm going to master. So when it comes to hot takes, that first thing's the fundamentals. Then if you look at what's going to be trending, I would say, look at this browser war that's about to start. Because right now, pretty much we all use Chrome, I would say. And some of us use Safari. But there's always been one dominant force. So right now it's Chrome, to an extent Safari, and they took that over from Firefox, who took it over from Internet Explorer, who took that over from Netscape, and then Netscape now Netscape, going beyond my age. Oh, I don't know who was before Netscape, but there's going to be someone next. It still could be Chrome, it still could be Chrome, but the browser war is important because so much data happens on the browser because that's your entry to the internet. So whoever controls the browser is going to control a lot of data, which means they're going to be worth trillions and trillions. So the browser war is going to be interesting. AI agents is going to be interesting as well. So, and with AI agents, where you've got large language models that gives you answers, AI agents take action. So if I wanted, how do I write a blog post that does blah, blah, blah? That's what a large language model will give you. An AI agent will go out and do it for you. It will do research. It will post it and do all of that extra stuff. That's going to be a big learning curve in 2026. I don't think till 2027, that's when it will be like almost everyday practice like ChatGPT is.
Yeah.
And then it goes, I think video is going to have a big year next year as well. I think
I do.
Video. And I do think that you're going to see more dominance from the big brands, more dominance from Google, more dominance from OpenAI, more dominance from Meta. Amazon and Apple has been very quiet right now. And I think they've got the money and the name to splash immediately. So Apple's tried, but as soon as they get it right, they got devices.
Yeah.
So they can get it, they could get it straight on your device immediately.
They're being quiet because they're secretly in the back rooms, plotting something big.
I actually think not.
Do you not?
They failed. That's the problem. I think they tried to come out with Apple Intelligence and it flopped. I actually want a refund for my iPhone because they told me all of this amazing thing. Go buy this new iPhone. So I bought it and it's exactly the same as my last one, just a better camera. But I think Apple, once they work out how to properly do it, they're going to be a problem. And Amazon, because of shopping, that's going to be when you get all the AI agents and you can just go to an agent, buy me this, and Amazon will speak to Amazon's AI agent. That will happen. But the other thing as well, and this is just to kind of finish the question, because of browsers and AI agents, and people will be able to ask their AI assistant to surf the internet and do this, there's going to be a time where humans are not going to be using the internet as much. We'll be very good at commanding stuff, but they're not going to be using the internet as much, which means advertisers, content creators, affiliate marketers, where before we're speaking to people, now we'll be speaking to AI robots or agents.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a huge area. I don't think next year will be the year. I think it's going to be 2027. But remember, I told you this now in 2025.
You heard it here on the Mim Matters podcast.
But exactly. But what I will say, just to kind of finish it off, I do genuinely believe we're in a golden era right now. We are in an era where there's no rules and regulations really. What's happening? You're not typing in something as a ChatGPT and the first result you're getting is a paid ad. That's not happening yet. So now is a period of time that I've only seen 4 times in my career. Yeah, about 4 times in my career, where you can go from this to this very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And right now we're in that time. As I said, this is an exciting time for me because it's that period. But I would say we've got 12 months. After that, I don't think it's going to be very difficult to go from here to here quickly. You can still use it, just like you can still use Facebook now, but you could just start up a Facebook account now or Instagram account now and expect to get the numbers of people that you would love to copy. That's not going to happen. And I think the same when it comes to AI, you're not going to be able to utilize it as like how you can do it now.
Yeah. I think because it just moves too quickly, doesn't it? It's just so. Well, that's it. That's all we have time for today for this episode of Mim Matters with our fantastic guest today, Andrew Davis, founder of Talk Digital. Andrew, just quickly, where can our listeners find you? I'm sure they probably already worked it out, but just to spell it out.
Yeah, so go to my website, Andrew Miles Davis. That's Davis spelled Davis. So andrewmilesdavis.com. And there you can find out where the podcast is. At the top menu bar, it says resources. That's where you can see the WhatsApp group. That's where you can sign up to the Fortnightly Fix, which is the 60 minutes of just AI training. And also you can contact me if you're interested in finding out more from a lunch and learn or keynote or training point of view as well.
That's fantastic. And thank you for taking time out today, because I know that you are a very busy person. So thank you. So to all the marketing community out there who are listening, if you found today's episode useful, don't forget to like and subscribe, where you can find episodes on Acast, Amazon Music and Spotify. And of course, if you know someone who might enjoy this, do share the love and send it on to them. And if you'd like to find out more about joining the Marketing in Maritime community, head over to mimcrowd.com for more information and what's happening. There's a big lineup in 2026. So that's going to be pretty exciting. So that's it from me today, Rebecca Bridgen, and we'll catch up with you in the next episode. So goodbye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.